to Devan for giving me this opportunity to share my views on should I treat this shallow chamber. And as he said, it is an isolated finding. No financial interest to declare. Now the normal anterior chamber depth is ranging between 2.5 mm to 3.5 mm. But if the chamber depth is less than 2.1 mm, it is considered as a shallow anterior chamber. Now the anterior chamber depth is a variable factor which changes with the age because the lens is growing. It becomes shallower. Now there are two studies shown here. One says that the anterior chamber depth is always less in a primary angle closure disease compared to the normal individuals in the population. And the second study says that in acute attack or acute angle closure glaucoma patient had a shallower anterior chamber compared to the primary angle closure suspect. Now if you see here, the lesser or the shallower is the chamber, more is the incidence of development of peripheral anterior sinic gap. So anterior chamber depth is one of the risk factors for the development of angle closure disease. Now what is the relationship between the shallow chamber and angle closure glaucoma? Why we would like to treat shallow anterior chamber? Because it prevents the pupillary block, thereby prevent the development of the primary angle closure disease. Angle closure glaucoma, as we all know, it's a devastating blinding disease and one of the leading cause of global blindness. It affects about 2% of the individual. In one of the studies, this has been shown that over the age of 40, at least 2% of the individual in the population can have a shallow chamber and angle closure glaucoma. What is the magnitude of this in India? Valorai study has shown that the occludable angle closure is seen almost in 10% of the population. And the consensus-based 2001 consensus-based study has shown that about 24 million people had primary angle closure suspect. So, of the whole population, in the adult population, every fourth person can have a glaucoma or a shallow chamber. So it's a big problem. So what should be the cutoff date for the anterior chamber depth, above which we should treat this patient or we should not treat this patient? Lot of trials are there, but none of them can prove that which is the most important magic number above which we should not treat and below which we should treat. This is also an interesting study which has shown that more number of normals are showing shallow anterior chamber depth compared to the angle closure disease patients. So, another study which has also shown that if the cutoff point is less than 2.03 mm of the ACD, the sensitivity of developing this angle closure is 70%, specificity is also very low. So angle closure depth alone has a poor predictive value. So you cannot simply go with ACD. Now you want to treat this patient. The simplest is the laser PI, which is very safe and outpatient procedure. Anybody can do it. We see lot of primary angle closure suspect, and to treat them all is a difficult thing. We have to treat 4 persons to prevent 1 person developing angle closure disease. So this PI is a good for private practitioner. You can earn out of this, but it is bad for the public health management. This is a good quote by the Weiner. He said all new patients with a shallow chamber need to have their angle evaluated, and those at greater risk, for example, who have a family history of glaucoma or a hypermetropia should be evaluated thoroughly at that periodic interval. So for me, treat only selected population, identify the population at high risk, individualize the approach to be by risk stratification. And this is a list of people or population at high risk. For example, family history for me is the most important parameter. Then advancing age, hypermetropia, female gender, ethnicity, and most importantly, ferroiopy and closure patient. They need treatment in a shallow chamber. Then there are certain anatomical predisposing factors, for example, short axial length, narrow angles, shallow peripheral ACD, small corneal diameter nanophthalmic eyes, and lens is also a very important factor. Now, we should do gonioscopy on all these patients, but it should be repeated every year in a suspect, even if it is negative initially, because there is a dynamic change which evolves over a period of time. This is an example to show you. One single synechiae which develop after 1 year tells you that you should treat this patient. Now, identical equation were there in this group. If you take a different ethnicity, the percentage of development of angle, peripheral angle synechiae is different. In Singaporean it is 20%, while in Mongols it was for 50%. So ethnicity is also a risk factor. Not only the thickness of the lens and size is important, but in this Japanese study it has been shown that increase in the lens word is an independent risk factor for the development of angle closure. So evaluation of any person should be done by utilizing all these parameters. And screening, you can use various methods, but whatever is being listed here have a relatively low specificity. Gonioscopy is the only gold standard I believe in. Then what is the role of provocative test? It provides the supportive evidence. I will do this only in the fourth person, one who is having history of color halos, intermittent headache, and occlusal angle. Second one is a positive family history of glaucoma. Then suspects who showed oculability on the gonioscopy on a routine checkup, and patient who is on a treatment with the medication which can precipitate the pupillary block. Now gonioscopy should be done in a dynamic manner, utilize indentation or manipulative gonioscopy and find out whether it is a oppositional closure or a fully open angle. When trabecular meshwork can be visualized up to 36 degrees on the indentation or manipulation without any sign of previous attack, these patients may not need any treatment, just keep them in observation. But if the occludable angle is showing a sign of a synechiae or patchy pigmentation like this, you should treat this patient. Chronic angle closure, usually all these patients has to have some kind of treatment, because the pupillary block is also a component. Even though 360 degree angle closure is there, we should do the treatment of this patient. And in some of the patients where there is a secondary angle closure due to posterior pushing mechanism or Cleto-Iris syndrome, the role of PI is always a debatable issue, but these also can have a pupillary block component and we should treat this patient. In the spherophakia like this, it is called glaucoma inversus. Dilatation is the treatment, but sometimes you may not dilate this patient, you are afraid of what is there behind the iris. In that case, if the cataract surgery is not planned in a near future, we can use a PI to prevent pupillary block glaucoma. Now, as you have seen here, the imaging is a good technique to find out what is dynamic change that is happening with the change in the light. With the light on, there is a small pupil here and angle is open. But with the lights off, you can see the oppositional closure happening here. So by changing the light, you can utilize this technique to find out who needs prophylactic laser PI. So friends, should I treat this sclerotingnia? Yes. Not only if it is a sclerotingnia. I will always look for high risk factor. The high risk, additional high risk is being shown here, all the list. I will see that. Additional risk factor in an anatomical pattern, I should see that. If PAS is attributed to the episode of the angle closure, or there is a progressive documented narrowing of the angle, or if the symptoms that suggest prior or intermittent subacute angle closure, I should treat them. And history of acute attack in the other eye is most important factor I will look for. And lastly, patients who are using systemic medication which provokes pupillary block, for example antidepressant or anticholinergic, there also we can take this patient for the treatment. Patient in India, this is a common scenario, who cannot come for the follow-up or immediate treatment may not be available. In those cases also we are writing treating this patient. And patient who needs treatment dilatation for the anti-retinopathy or some different evaluation, those are also to be treated. Thank you very much.